after a point of time, it is not just game of one brand.
Basic dignity, yeah. You are going with a complete stranger. We are the pioneers in like three-wheelers. Very unstable. We cannot expect suddenly something pops up, right?
So we were talking about your mother who had a little incident after which she moved
Yes.
away, and that was the origin of the idea.
Right. So,
Was it
bottom line-
before you did SB or after you did SB?
This is after, after ISB and all. At one point, she was handling 20 telephone exchanges. She was used to work in BSNL.
Okay.
Around nearby 20 villages, telephone exchanges and all she used to handle. Right. So, very, independent woman. Lot of social work she was doing, and then after ISB they have moved to Hyderabad as well from hometown. So that's when she. That is one of the key reasons, right? What I have observed is one, our over reliance on four-wheelers, right? For the purpose that it is not built for, right? The second thing is the existing vehicles that we have that we use for urban commuting within a city and all. So very highly skid prone on our roads, especially if it is a wet rainy day. Right. So you cannot expect suddenly something pops up, right? So that is one of the major drivers, right? On a day-to-day basis also, my wife doesn't ride a two-wheeler to pick up our kid from school, primarily because of the same reason, right? And she knows like parking is a hassle at the school, right? There's a congestion in narrow roads while going, but still when it comes to family safety, she doesn't want to take that risk, right? But millions of women are forced to, right? They don't have that choice.
The privilege is not there.
Yes. So that is also something that we identified a huge gap. Like India is the world's biggest three-wheeler market. And like we are the pioneers in like three-wheelers, but mostly three-wheelers are relegated to commercial purpose. Why is the reason, like why we couldn't build a personal three-wheeler that looks good, that feels premium? The major reasons are like 2 or 3. The biggest one is the lack of stability, right? It's a very difficult vehicle to ride. Commercial folks, they get used to that, but as a personal consumer, you wouldn't want to handle that on a day-to-day basis. It's very unstable. Like when you're trying to take a turn, there are so many instances. We see that the vehicle rolled over, toppled. I'm sure you were coming from Lucknow. There's so many of these e-carts, e-rickshaws, right? So they are very, very unstable. And they typically overloaded. Right. So that we wanted to make it more personal, make it more appealing, make it a more functional vehicle. That's where we identified the gap between a two-wheeler and three-wheeler. It has to be more agile and easy to park and easy to handle, maneuver like a two-wheeler, but it has to be more stable, more functional, more utilitarian like a three-wheeler. So that's the hybrid. One of our customers call it 2.5 wheeler. So that's a apt name for this category, I believe.
And who are the, let's say, like one are the, let's say, women who are using it. But like for example, I will give you my insight on it.
Okay.
So my father retired 5 years ago.
Right.
And after retirement, and we had a car and we had a two-wheeler.
Okay.
The scooty.
Right.
Because of a lot of incidents happening in my hometown, I actually just sold off the two-wheeler
Right.
without letting him be aware about it, because he used to use that a lot.
Same.
And my scare is that it can go in any direction.
Correct.
Right? Because he's now old. Right? His motor skills are not as good as they would have been in the younger days, right?
yes.
So for me, old people
Hmm.
are also very, very. Is it? Have you seen that?
Absolutely. Like 70% of the calls that we get on our website or like WhatsApp, all the digital media channels, most of them are for like 45 and above, right? So my even if when a youngster calls, I ask usually who is this for? Like it's typically my dad needs this, my mom needs this, my in-laws need this, right? So very interesting thing, like someone from US, they have returned and like for a vacation, they came with a bunch of cash to our factory.
They're like,
It's like I need this now. Before I go, I want to present it to my in-laws, and all. It's like no, we are not ready at that point of time. We are not certified by government and all. They're like, no, I know people from RTO in my village. I'll get it done. It's like it's not certified, man. So it's very interesting. People,
But is it now certified?
yes, fully.
Now you are ready to sell.
Right, we are ready in the sense that like we have got all the certifications and all. We have made significant improvements and upgrades in our latest generation platform, right? From all the feedback that we have got, more than 1.2 lakh kilometers of real world customer data and all we have collected. That helped us in like fast tracking our reducing most of the critical problems, right? At least 2 to 3 safety critical items we were able to identify proactively and resolve them, right? So another 45 to 60 days we are tooling up some things, then that will reduce our cost of production significantly.
Interesting.
So that is what we are waiting for. Otherwise we are ready, but right now the cost of production is little high.
Hence you are just
we are
building the system.
correct. So we are setting up the process. We are setting up few distribution and after sales service channels also. We are tying up with folks, right? These are very, very important aspects, like the foundation that needs to be laid.
No, that is very necessary. Like you can't in this category half big product to nahi aap dal paoge.
That is the unfortunate reality that almost everyone knows, but the kind of pressure that you have, not just from investors at all, from the customers, it makes some people have already spoiled the market for the overall impression was became bad. EVs are like risky or
Yeah, that is that's the अब उस पे ना like my only problem how I look at it is Indian market is very like people call it value conscious, this conscious, that conscious. I have seen it that if you are good at sales, then you can sell a very trashy product. And that has happened for time and ages, and we have seen it. So that someone has to call it out, and whatever, like eventually things do get better. But
very interesting that you mentioned value conscious and not price conscious, right? So, but most people use those interchangeably.
Price conscious is very different from value conscious.
So that's the thing. Like most people tell us ki India is a very price sensitive market, which is not at all the case.
No, if I was like, for example, 5 years ago, if I was aware, so my father runs a school, library because he got retired and I wanted him to be busy. Now that library is 1.5 kilometers away from the house, so it's not very far, but it's also not walkable because there's a flyover in between. So I want him, and he has to go. And he is very he's like, every time I have to get my car out. First you have to open the gate, get the car out, sit in the car, then you go, then you find parking there, then you park there, whatever, right? So it's like, my 30 minutes or an hour, and at the age of 62, my energy goes a lot more higher. The other question I had in terms of market, has it not been asked by the, let's say, the handicapped community? Because
certainly there are many folks who reach out to us because they struggle with existing two-wheelers, as a mode of commute. We don't want to start there, right? So becomes a very
because
challenging proposition.
because you did not even design it from that.
Yeah.
right?
It's at least in the current version, it is not suitable for them.
Sure.
We may like when our final concept is going to be a all-weather vehicle, compact vehicle.
But how much time did it took you to, let's say, start from the, like, because when you think of building a tech product,
Yes.
it's very different.
Right.
You think of an idea, then you might sit with two developers, make something MVP, put it out in the market, test.
Right.
Then you come back.
Right.
You say this works, this doesn't work. A, there is nothing as licensing as a concept.
Correct.
Right. B, it's very easy to put out in the market. Like, you
Right.
go on the internet, you can run ads.
Mm.
You will get customers and you will get traction and you will get answers,
Correct.
ideally. But in a category like this,
Mm.
where this is not how it can
Correct.
be approached, right? R&D becomes your 90% of your time in the initial days, is what
Yeah.
I'm assuming. So how do you guys, how did it happen?
Right. Very interesting. You mentioned tech, but yeah, typically referred to software tech.
Yeah,
right?
software tech.
Whereas hardware and deep tech,
Yeah.
as we also refer to, right?
Yeah.
It's a different beast altogether, right?
Yes.
So someone coming from core software background built like around four, software products in cloud space, in fintech, in ERP systems. I have worked on. We have started like. In the middle of the pandemic. Before this, we have even more ambitious project in the public mobility, autonomous shuttle pods and all. But during the pandemic, we thought like this is the time to pivot. But almost one and a half year, it was more ideation, like understanding the market. I have done extensive,
Research.
done multiple interviews. From a small farmer, from a woman commuter, from an elderly person, so the different use cases that we have identified these gaps, that almost everyone tells us like very crowded market. It's mostly true, but if you go deeper, you can see so many gaps, right? Women who cannot who are scared or take a long time to learn, right? So that confidence was not built in. Same thing with elderly gentlemen, used to ride, but now not so much comfortable. Rural person, they again, you have a moped at which you have been running for the last 30 years. Now your business is picking up, you want to upgrade, but the nearest auto rickshaw costs like 3.5 lakhs. It's like a huge jump. So if you want to, unless you have access to credit, or it is not.
And auto rickshaw also becomes very different, na? Like the amount of, it's not the same.
Exactly. But still, if your only purpose is even commercial, also still that is a huge leap for them. So these are the gaps that we primarily identified. And of course, the bike taxi is one segment that we are very bullish on. A premium experience, luxury experience, even in the bike segment, is something that we have identified. These are the main gaps that we have identified. And my co-founder, my partner, who was from a railway background, right? He's a mobility expert. He's an innovator. He has been innovating since last 20 years. We connected just before pandemic, and we have been in touch, and then professionally when I was working in the smart city project and all. So he had a very interesting set of ideas. He was working on similar concept to bring in that stability within a small format. Right.
Interesting.
So that's where the intersection happened. I am coming from a deeply customer pain and identification of this gaps point of view, and he is coming from a technology point of view, where he can build something that no incumbent can, because he's using principles that are deeply from a railway background. If you see that a difference between a bullet train and a regular train, you will hear regular trains getting derailed and all, right? Will you ever hear a bullet train which goes much faster getting derailed?
Yeah, never.
So it is built for that speed,
Yeah.
right? His concept is you have to build for speed, then only stability will come.
Yeah.
So we are compromising on speed, restricting these e-rickshaw C-cars to 25 kilometers per hour because there is no stability. But his approach is like when you start thinking about how to build speed, then you will automatically think about building for stability. Right, so that is where he's coming from, the leaning anti-topple technology. He has a very good concept, but there are a lot of question marks whether this will work or not, because we are not the first guys to try this out. Trikes have been in place, but no one has built in such a small narrow format. Like I said, unless it is very compact, you cannot get a motorcycle license. You have to go for an auto rickshaw license, and then the taxes are different. The RTO implications different. Yes, the cost will also be different significantly.
Yeah.
So that's where there were a lot of questions. We were building the technology.
Yeah.
In parallel, we had to build the product on top of the technology, because unless we get it certified, no one is ready to believe that this is a two-wheeler and not three-wheeler, right? Legally speaking. So that's we were building the technology and the product in parallel, and the setting up the infrastructure in parallel. So all the tracks we are doing in parallel. But that's where I believe me being from a software background and a very strong proponent of agile methodology, that helped us, even though that is not very common in hardware, and it's very difficult to implement also. Because the cost of anything that to do in hardware, reiteration and all, is much higher than in software. Like you put it out there and then change that, right? Whereas that's not so easy in the hardware space. But still we have managed to do that to a significant extent, very fast. That's why you see so many of these prototypes that we have.
Exactly.
Because we believe in that methodology, instead of trying to make it perfect from our idea point of view. That's the typical approach, right? You imagine something very good looking, very cool looking, then you start from there. Whereas we are not working from there, we are working from what the problem is, how do I solve that problem? Will that problem actually get solved with my proto? Then we will work on the making it beautiful, making it reliable, making it...
Structure becomes very important.
Exactly.
Because in coding, it's never like that, right? Like it's like once you have enough users, you change the architecture of the entire
That's
thing,
exactly
right?
So that's where our platform and the underlying technology is built also for that, right? So I don't want to do like this is how it has to be, and now you tell the customer whether you adapt or not, right? So that becomes a gamble. Whereas we are coming from a much more hyper iterative mode. We have built a platform. Now we try it and test it, that whether this is works, makes sense for them, get the feedback, and then reiterate over that. So that's where we have were able to come within 4.5 years. We came this long, this far. We have got all the certifications. We have validated from like 15 plus customer use cases. Okay, that includes this health beverage company, laundry service, toys delivery, bike taxi, and even for retail customers, right? So women and elderly and those kind of people who rely on the vehicle for their livelihood, right? For them, this is not a toy, this is a asset, right? They're investing in the vehicle. So that's how we have approached even in the hardware technology.
Okay, so basically I'll double down on the bike taxi, because again I feel that is a very need of the hour for all the big cities.
Definitely. Not only big cities, even so in the smaller
cities as well, but big cities largely because one person is traveling, and then there's a space to car ratio is very high. So
totally.
But the only current problem which I see in bike taxi, because I use bike taxi but my wife doesn't.
Yes.
And she has a very personal reason for it. She doesn't feel safe.
Of course.
Because of
the two-wheeler.
Right.
She's like, "Yaar, balance nahi hai.
Right.
I don't know." Right? And see, it's very personal.
Right.
And I can't compel her to use bike taxi.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it's safety is one part of the equation, but yeah, basic dignity, yaar, you are going with a complete stranger.
हाँ.
You know, you are chipak ke baithna is like it's completely undignified.
हाँ.
Right. So obviously, in a city still maybe some may not feel that and all. You
Yeah.
cannot go to a tier 2 city and say come sit on my
हाँ,
bike. and all.
हाँ. So it becomes very plus like all of cultural context is there,
Yeah.
but safety context is also there.
Definitely.
So have you because I look at it from that lens that I have seen a lot of bike taxis
Correct.
which are used abroad,
Correct.
and they are very let's say comfortable.
Right.
They are not these kind of normal
Bikes.
Splendors
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
any of that. They are proper bikes like the bike iGO,
Correct.
right? So have you seen this market as well? Did you think of it?
Certainly. See, we are at least not currently into the operations side of things,
Yeah.
right? But we have someone who is working with Uber. They are tied up with Uber. They do 4-wheeler taxis and all, right? So they are very bullish on deploying. Their idea is, taxi, kind of a pink taxi for women by women, right? From the commuter, from metro station, they need to be able to go safe, right?
Yeah.
So there are two problems here that you mentioned: safety with respect to road safety, and also safety with respect to going out with a stranger, and all, right? So both cases are largely solved with this kind of approach, where they want to promote more women riders, right? That becomes a social impact initiative for them. At the same time, offer this specifically to women riders, commuters, so that they can tap a very underserved market, right? So metro ridership becomes very high when you provide that last mile connectivity.
Yeah.
Right. So last mile connectivity that is safe and comfortable, right? So that's
and to the home.
and to the home, exactly.
The only problem is that like when we say last mile connectivity, we play with the word last a lot.
Yeah.
The last
Last inch
is what you need to
Yes,
think of.
correct.
Unlike where we look at it is, last is here. From here you have to walk another 1 kilometer to
Right.
your house. And that is where anything.
That 1 kilometer walk is also fine, but as long as that there is a dedicated footpath and
Yeah, but
dedicated safe corridor,
Sure.
which is not the case in many cases. Otherwise, then you need to provide last feet or last inch
Yeah.
kind of connectivity.
Yeah. So it's not a last mile, it's a last inch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
for us.
that's where a cost-effective solution, which is affordable, which is safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. Like I've been to Vietnam, Malaysia. Here also bike taxi is very popular. Thailand, right?
Yeah.
In fact, more popular than here since like a decade or so.
Yeah.
Thailand and all. But very few offerings that there are also moped kind of vehicles are more prominent, more common. There are few conceptual vehicles, but I haven't seen very many which are more comfortable. That's what I identified, and we want to cater to those markets as well sooner than later.
Yeah. So another again, this may also cross the business trajectory question. So once you start building, right, how do you think of the cost of productions and things like that from the beginning, or are you like, let us first come up with the idea and then we can think of cost of production?
Yeah, so very interesting question. So my partner who has started he's a all-rounder guy, right? So yes, if you ask me, we do that too early. right? At least I can try to convince him. First, let us solve the problem, then worry about that. But yeah, he's someone who is working on all the things in together. Manufacturability, serviceability. Beyond solving the problem for customer and all, right?
Right.
But yes, it's a good thing to have. But at the same time, in most of these cases, we innovate so much. Then our vendor is not able to cope up or make things specifically for us, right?
Yes.
So it's a very delicate balance we have to see, where we need to innovate in terms of customer requirements and how to solve that problem. Whereas with respect to production, with respect to manufacturing, cost reduction, we have to work with how the existing vendors are working, right? If we innovate there, then they're not able to catch up. Then things become more complicated over the course of time.
So in terms of doing the research and building things, like you said, I have done quite a few research here. Which countries do you think have done really well with their, let's say, mobility or building the infra to build mobility? Because I still feel that this entire category is very, very from the manufacturer lens, because you said that manufacturers can't change their line.
Right.
I'll give you an example. I went to a factory where cosmetics used to be made. Right. So when I went there, let's say 8 years ago, they were like, this is what we can package and sell it for you.
Right.
Maybe we can change a little of color here and there, and overall the packaging of it, the plastic and all of it. But inside ingredients will remain the same because we don't have the infra to change it.
Right.
Then I went there post-COVID, like 3 years ago or something. Now they are like, whatever you tell us, we'll make.
Correct.
Right? That infra has changed.
Right.
So now you are seeing 10 different kind of cosmetic brands coming out.
Correct.
Because of the enablement of that,
Right.
is all of this is happening, right?
Very good point.
Right. How does that happen in this category? Right? Where you have to assemble so many things.
Right. So again, if you go historically, you a very, very good example you have given. Historically, mobility has been a game of, let's say, Japanese and German are the pioneers in, mobility link. As for very short period, you can say American as well, with the advent of Ford that time. But after that, it's mostly German engineering and Japanese, production approach, right? The reliability bringing of reliability. Honda and Toyota, so they have been right. But German, it is about over engineering, bringing to that extent that worrying about very small things. In many cases, some people feel over engineering, but it's the approach to that problem, right? Whereas the Japanese, yes, they were the first to make mass produced, cost effective, very, very high reliability aspects, right? But today, if you speak, when it comes to electric mobility, after Tesla has given the start, it's largely Chinese, right? It's no longer about if you go back a decade or so back, then the Chinese made in China means low quality and all. But they have come a long way since then, right?
BYD.
So that's only the tip of the iceberg. There are the 5 to 7 out of the top 10, 9 are Chinese brands, right?
Yes.
But even there, if you see, it's all about big vehicles, 4-wheelers, MPVs, SUVs, right? So who is there in the smaller vehicle space? Even in China, it's largely unorganized. Right, there are not these 3-4 BYD kind of brands in 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, etc. Right, that is still open for grabs. India is among the best with Ether, Ultraviolet, and couple of others.
It has
in the 2-wheeler space, we have come a long way. Still, with respect to reliable engineering and all, yes, but have we done real innovation, right? So yes, some aspects, yes, definitely we have gone a long way.
Yeah.
But the beauty of this, like, next generation technology, from like computers to laptops that we have, or regular telephones to smartphones that we have, what is the biggest change that we have seen that made it ubiquitous, is bringing things smaller, making things smaller.
Yes.
Right. The semiconductor chip has become very, very small.
Yeah.
That's what led to a smartphone in every pocket, right?
Exactly.
The same is true for the electric powertrain. Compared to a petrol engine and a diesel engine, the powertrain is actually very compact.
Exactly.
Okay, so why are we still building a four-wheeler? For most cases, like if your case is intercity, yes, makes sense.
Yeah.
But in bulk of the usage is in intracity.
Yeah.
Why are we building the same format? Right.
Exactly.
So that's the idea behind. We have a very good chance. We are not there yet. India becoming the hub for light electric vehicles. Where the Chinese don't have the same advantage that they have in four-wheelers and heavy electric vehicles. Right. At least as today.
Yeah.
But if they catch on to this faster than we do, if we don't pick up, then certainly we will lose that advantage as well.
But
because
like-
bulk of Africa, bulk of South America, South Asia, all these guys are relying on small vehicles only, not four-wheelers.
Yeah. In fact, I am a not a fan, but I love how Bajaj has done a lot of things in what they were building, right? So
Right.
their bikes and stuff like that. So I was reading on how they are also pushing a lot on, let's say, electrical, right? So
Right.
like from an industry view, you see, after a point of time, it is not just game of one brand,
Right.
Like it's not
They-
one.
exactly.
The industry shift happens when many
this
people
is not a winner takes all game. This is
the market
not
and the pie is
yeah.
still getting explored.
Very,
So
very
no one
big.
knows ki this is the market.
And our domestic market, as big as it is, it's small part of the global market.
Yeah.
Right? It's still up for grabs.
Yeah.
And I am a big fan of TVS in this
Yeah,
context,
TVS is
right? So there are now Mahindra has joined the race, late but very nicely. But there are only two, legacy brands that have successfully transitioned to electric like none other.
Which are?
TVS and Tata. Right, Tata again, because
From
they're
the four-wheeler.
from a not just four-wheeler, like from a petrol point of view, someone who is big in a petrol and diesel like ICE vehicles, these are big brands. No other big brand, including Honda, including
Maruti
Toyota,
Suzuki.
including Suzuki, still haven't transitioned to that next generation. Because Toyota had a very, very long head start with the Prius and hybrid. They have successfully mastered. But yeah, it for a big brand.
TVS has built two-wheelers in EV.
That's TVS iQube is one of the most successful two-wheeler, across the board over the lifetime. Okay, they were quite early, in not only some indirect acquisitions and investments and all. They're pretty decent product. It's not like awe-inspiring innovation or anything, but it works very reliably. And they're the one of the first guys who have tried that transition very fast. See, most of the big brands, that's what happens. Like they don't want to lose their cash cow, right? So when their petrol vehicles are still selling like hot cakes, so you will not invest in future technologies and all, right?
So that is again like, because I am and you are like, we are not at that space. So I'm like, whatever decisions are made are made.
Yeah.
Like, so I always feel that market is the biggest teacher.
Yes.
Whatever the market wants, the market wants.
Yes.
So whoever can tap the signal first can win the game.
Correct.
Or can figure out the signals. So yeah, like I agree. So this is like, now I think I've gotten enough of about
EV in the market.
Industry, yeah.
Now I would want to know that, like, since you are a builder, you were like you are, and the word unfortunately entrepreneur, which has been used and abused everywhere, right? Like, so how do you take care of your and usually people don't talk about it a lot, and I think it is very important because the young people who are now going to build, right, they need to be aware that the reality is not the fame that you see maybe on Twitter and on the internet, and it goes beyond that, right? So how do you take care of your, let's say, mental health? Because it is very important to have a very strong mindset,
Right.
to have like get your hands dirty in a problem like this.
Right.
So how do you do that?
So yeah, there are two ways to think about it, right? So of course, if someone is naive enough or like get influenced by the fame or the kind of things that marketed right on social media, yes, they will be in for a big surprise. The kind of grind, the kind of boring things that you need to do to make to that, like exciting and sexy stuff. So that is certainly a thing that may come as a shocker if but that is true. Even if you are an entrepreneur or even in a corporate job, if you are taking enough responsibility, you have to get to the grind, do small things consistently. So that is there. When it comes to mindset, again, see, we need a lot many more entrepreneurs.
Agree.
Right? No doubt about that. But yes, the reason to start should be also strong. Right? The means and tools, there are so many of these accelerators and incubators in the name, but they're not equipping with the right tools. Like there are few, but we need a lot more that shows them the reality, shows them the real problems that we can be solving, right? Coming to mindset,
you're saying there are more, like, and I also believe in it, that there are many problems to be solved.
Exactly.
In a 1.4 billion.
Exactly. And we should not solve for 1.4 billion also.
No, you should not solve for 1.4 billion, but there are many problems.
Yes.
And it can go beyond the top 1%.
Correct.
Right? Like usually one commentary that we see in the startup is, are you solving for the top 1%?
Right.
If you're not solving for top 1%, you're not solving, which I am not a very strong believer on, because there is still a 99%.
Yeah, see, the approach should be different, right? If you are, solving for top 1%, then you look for premiumization, then you look for higher margin rather than, going for bigger TAM and all, right? So bigger volume and all. Whereas when you are solving for the the next level or the next level, so again it's usually taken in bullion, either the top 1% or the bottom 99%. That's not the case, right? So there are 1% within 1% at each level.
Exactly.
Right. So you have to understand that layer. It is not that tier 1 city or tier 2 city. There are many folks in tier 3 cities that can spend a lot.
Then more than tier
1 cities.
No,
right?
I agree.
People, when we talk about going to that market, it is like okay, who will pay there, right? There's so much money over there. Right?
In fact,
which is not accounted for also.
In fact, the most successful people I have met,
right,
are now living in some tier 2, tier 3 city.
So
like somewhere in Udupi,
right?
Somewhere in.
So they could be legitimate entrepreneurs doing business, or so there could be other ways to securing wealth for them.
Fair.
But either way, so there is a lot of wealth in the rural segments also. There also you have to segregate, top 1% versus bottom 50% or so. So that's how I look at least, as a youngster, like when my parents were traveling, for work, my mom was also relocated to some other for transfer and all. Like, I have jumped to multiple schools. I was alone for bulk of the time. I have tried committing suicide also multiple times. So that's something that you cannot explain, right? So but now after going through the corporate churn, now I am having the most exciting time of my life, right? Even when there are so many stresses, it's about how you internalize them, how you react to them, right? So this is something very sensitive, of course, but there is lot to be learned, right? So lot to be learned from the young age, not just for entrepreneurs or not just for employed, right? So at each place, we need to work on what gives us, we obviously money is important, but we also need some kick out of what we are doing.
Purpose.
Yeah, so that's the real thing. When you find it, all the rest of the things get sorted, right? That's how I strongly feel.
So now these are like a quick questions, right? So one entrepreneur which you really admire,
Okay.
and like one from maybe India and one globally.
Okay, so globally there is no doubt, right? Someone who has inspired me, someone who has opened a lot of ideas and thought processes, Elon Musk. Recent things aside, but still, like, he's someone
unreal
man, like, in so many ways he has opened up the thought process, right? So and inspired. There is none other like him. And locally, okay, so there are plenty of folks who have done across the board. I really admire Nitin Kamath, right? So very humble, yet like have done with not only with their entrepreneur venture, but their foundation and the thought process that they are bringing to the ecosystem, which largely runs on hype, right? So they're away from this hype and focusing on fundamentals very. So Mr. Sanjeev Vikchandani is like again very interesting. Not only he has developed but created a lot of new entrepreneurs to come to the fold, right? So yeah, of course we cannot I cannot underemphasize Mr. Ratan Tata, right? So the one of the other, like he shared the same mission, right? Everyone talks about Tata Nano failed and all, right? But the underlying statement, mission statement is the same, right? So how do we provide more safety, how do we provide more comfort for a small family? But the approach may be different, but whatever their failure, whatever the nano failure or be the reason, that is what led to Nexon, that is what led to Harrier, that is what led to where Tata Motors is today.
Exactly.
Right. So that is very, very important, to understand the problem and then solve it step by step.
Okay. One book or one book article that you think, it blew my mind, or something that people should read, like it may not be necessary for business, like it not necessarily means to be that it has to be very business oriented, but
Right.
just a book you felt this is a must read for everyone.
I'm not very big reader of, I'm not, I'm more visual learner, right?
So one movie.
Movie, yeah. So the one I really like that goes very philosophical is Man from the Earth, right? So that is I like very much. It's like more a conversation and debate, right? So that I can relate to very much.
Interesting.
Right. So on the this side again, I am trying to do lot more, spiritual stuff and all, right? I do sadhana, just getting started on those stuff, right? That really helps on the keeping things humble and all.
I think I'll use this as my closing for the interview. It was great talking to you. I think I learned a lot, and I think the viewers watching, they will also take a lot from it. I think especially the one reason I wanted to come and interview here is because we do not see many people building in hardware.
Right.
Largely, software is sexy, is the lingo that gets used everywhere. So everyone ends up like most of the time in the software part. But hardware is again as important as software. So you can't ignore it.
Right.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.